Welcome to another programming video. I've been asked many times about my development environment. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to set that up from scratch. For that, I will use our Ubuntu virtual machine, but the tools I use should be available in most Unix systems. I may also do one for Windows in the future if that is helpful. Let me know in the comments. You can easily search for everything I use in Google and find the exact steps to set it up and use it. So I will just give you a brief explanation and leave the links in the description. I will also leave an index in the comment section so you can skip to the part you are interested in. So let's start with the terminal. And the default terminal in Ubuntu is not bad. But the one that I've used the most in the last couple of years is Terminator. Just make sure to specify that you're looking for an emulator. Terminator makes it easy to use, manage and arrange multiple terminals in tabs or grids with a lot of useful keyboard shortcuts and interesting features. Chances are you can install it using your package manager without doing anything extra. So let's open a new terminal. I will use the default that comes with Ubuntu. Just make sure to have your system updated, then sudo apt install terminator, and that's it. Let's dock a shortcut for that and open it. As I said, it allows you to manage multiple terminals with a graphical user interface. I can name the terminals, for instance. If I want to use this to run my server or servers, I can create tabs and name them too. I can run the command and then split the screen with a context menu or a keyboard shortcut. For instance, if I want to monitor the logs while I test something in my server, I can go crazy and repeat that many times. I can either create groups for the terminals and broadcast commands to some of them. And there are many more interesting features and plugins. Make sure to give a read to the docs. Another alternative and my current default terminal is Alacritty. It's a cross-platform GPU accelerated terminal emulator. It claims to be the fastest terminal emulator in existence and is available for Linux, Mac and Windows. Just look for the installation instructions here for your favorite OS. For Ubuntu, I will need to add a PPA. So copy that command and run it. Make sure to use sudo and enter to continue. Now I can do sudo apt install Alacritty. Let's make a shortcut and open it. At first glance, it doesn't look that special, but it is fast. I can tell the difference in my current fully set up environment, but don't take my word for it. Try it yourself. It doesn't have tab support or a grid layout like Terminator, but you can have the same functionality using a different tool. Anyway, now that we have our terminal emulator, let's install some fundamental tools. Again, those can be installed with your favorite package manager. The first one is curl. It's a well-known command line tool to transfer data with various network protocols. I use it mostly as an HTTP client. The second one is, of course, Git. I don't need to explain much about it. The next one is htop, an interactive process viewer for Linux, and a replacement for top, Beam, as a text editor. You may know it for the how to exit Beam jokes. JQ is a command line JSON processor. I use it a lot with curl. The C shell, that's an alternative to Bash. That is an interactive shell that provides a much better experience, is highly customizable, and has a lot of plugins and themes and a great community. And finally, Tmux. Tmux is a terminal multiplexer. It lets you switch easily between several programs in one terminal, detach them, they keep running in the background, and reattach them to a different terminal. It provides the functionality I mentioned to have terminal grids and different tabs, and is a lifesaver when you need to connect to other servers through SSH and run commands. So let's install them. Let's start with Tmux. To start a Tmux session, just write Tmux. You will see a status bar at the bottom. There's only a couple of keyboard shortcuts that you need to know. I will leave the link to a cheat sheet in the description. Make sure to check it out. The most important one is Ctrl-V. You will use it anytime you need to talk to Tmux. For instance, if I do Ctrl-V and then comma, I can rename my current terminal. Hit enter, and now I can see the terminal 0 is called server. If I do Ctrl V and then C, it will create a new terminal. I can see that I now have terminal 0, name server, and terminal 1, bash. My current terminal is selected with an asterisk. So I will rename this the same way. I can create as many as I want. I will call this one top and run top in it. Actually, let's run htop. To change to a different terminal, I can do Ctrl V and then the number of the terminal. For instance, 1 to go to the logs terminal. I can also split the terminals as I did with Terminator, using Ctrl V, then percentage to split into left and right terminals, double quotes to split horizontally. To switch between terminals, hit Ctrl V, then left or right, and so on. That's pretty much all I do all day. There are plenty of tutorials on Tmux. Be sure to check them out, especially to know what you can do when you connect to a remote server. The next command is JQ, the JSON processor. You can pipe the result of any command that returns a JSON. For instance, I will echo this hello world JSON and use JQ and a dot at the end, and it will print the JSON nicely formatted. With this, I can navigate and manipulate complex JSONs. For instance, if I want the value of the attribute hello, I just need to specify .hello, and if I want the raw string -r, it's really useful to test your server output and when you need to create scripts. The next one, htop. I use it mostly to monitor the resources used by my services or to find and kill a process. You can even use it with your mouse. The next one is vim. Open a file like this, hit A to enter insert mode and be able to edit the text. To save and exit, you need to hit escape to get out of insert mode, then press colon and BW to write and Q to exit, then hit enter. And that will be all for this video. Just kidding. Then the next one is curl. Very straightforward to use as an HTTP client. Then we have git. I prefer to do everything related to git in the command line, although there are great GUI tools available for it. I will open my GitHub account and clone one of my repositories just to demonstrate the next part. Let's copy the URL and then do a git clone. Cool. The next tool I want to show is CSH. This is what makes all the customization using my videos possible. Let's run CSH. Since it is the first time, it will ask me to create a CSH RC file. This file contains the configuration for CSH. I will populate it with the recommended configuration, so hit 2. We can already see some color in the terminal. Besides that, let's install something else called CSH. CSH is all about the configuration, so this tool will help us manage that. There are hundreds of plugins and themes available here. The easiest way to install it is with curl. So let's copy that command and run it. You should always read and understand what you are copying and pasting to your terminal, especially if it is your work environment. This is a virtual machine, so I don't mind. So let's paste it and run. It is asking me to change the default shell to be CSH. So yes. And you can already see a change. It is telling me that I am in a Git repository and in the branch master. If I change the branch or go into a specific commit, it will show that too. Cool. There are plenty of themes for CSH to choose from. The one that I'm using is called powerlevel 9K, but there's another one that seems to be faster and called powerlevel 10K. You may recognize this status bar from my previous videos. You just need to follow the installation instructions. There is an optional font that you can install that provides some of the icons you see there. So let's install that. The font is Meslonerd. Just download the fonts and install them. In Ubuntu, you just need to open them and click install. Make sure to do that on every font. After you install the font, you need to configure your terminal emulator so it uses that font. There are some examples in this documentation, but if your editor is not there and you don't know how to do it, just Google it. In this case, I'll just search for Alacritty fonts. The first result is changing the default font, and it just says I need to create the alacritty.yaml file, and there I can have my custom configuration for Alacritty. So I will do that. First I will create that directory, .config/Alacritty, then go to that folder and create the file. Now let's copy the example file and replace the font name of the example with the name of my font, Meslo LGS NF. I will uncomment the styles of each one and save the file. After installing the font, we need to install the theme. So let's go back to the Getting Started section. And there are instructions for all my CSH. I just need to clone the repository. So let's do that. It will be cloned to the CSH custom path /themes and powerlevel 10k. Then we need to set the CSH theme environment variable to powerlevel 10k in the CSH configuration file. Let's open that file. The default theme is Robbie Russell, so I will just comment that line and paste the new theme below. Now we can reload the configuration by doing source and the CSH configuration file. After doing that, we will get a wizard for powerlevel 10k. It will ask us a couple of questions to make sure we have the correct fonts and settings to display the status bar correctly. So let's follow that wizard. I see the diamond correctly, so yes. The log is fine, yes. The Debian logo looks small but is good, so yes. The icons fit between the crosses without overlap, yes. Now questions about the prompt style. The classic style looks good, but I also like the rainbow one, so I'll pick 3. I will use Unicode charset so I can have the icons. So 1, I want it to show the 24-hour format time. 2, the vertical separator is fine. 2, for the prompt head, I want it sharp. So 1, prompt tail, let's keep it flat. 1, prompt height, I prefer it 2 lines, so I have more space for the commands. 2, prompt connection, disconnected. 1, prompt frame, I like it full. 4, frame color, the darkest looks good. 4, prompt spacing, the sparse looks like it will be easier to follow. So 2, icons, let's have as many as possible. 2, prompt flow, concise, I don't need the extra words. 1, I want the prompt to be persistent because it gives me more context and I can look back at what happened. So no. Instant prompt mode. This is a nice feature. If you have many plugins, it may take a while to load them. This will allow you to use the prompt right away while those slow plugins are loading. I will keep that on, and it recommended me to keep it verbose in case there is a problem or if I'm unsure of what this all means. So 3. Finally, apply all changes to the CSH config file. Yes, cool. Now we can see the status bar. Let's go to a folder with a Git repository. I can see it is using Git and that I am in a commit without a branch. So let's go to the master branch. It now says master and I have the GitHub icon because the remote upstream master branch points to a GitHub repository. Let's make a change in the cargo.toml file. I will just change the version of my app and save, and I can see the prompt change to yellow and it's telling me that I have one changed file. If I want to write a git command, for instance git st and hit tab, I will get a list of possible git commands with a description. The list will change as I write and I can pick one of them to autocomplete using tab. That is nice. Now let's install another essential tool called FCF, one of the best ones you can have. It is a command line fuzzy finder. It will make your life easier. It is portable with no dependencies and it has a lot of plugins available. To install it, just clone the repository with this command and it will create the .fcf folder. Once you clone it, use the install script in that folder. Be sure to enable auto-completion and key bindings and update the shell configuration files. Now we reload the CSH configuration and we can use FCF. For instance, these are the files that I have in my current folder. If I want to find a specific file, I just write FCF and hit enter and it will start the fuzzy path matcher. If I want to find the main file, I write main and it will show me the exact match first, which is the main file, and a fuzzy match after it. You can see it is fast. It has integrations with other commands. For instance, I can use it with git let's try to do a git add, and if I want to find a specific file, I write choose stars and hit tab, and it will activate the fuzzy finder. You can also pick more than one item at the same time. If you want to kill processes, for instance, kill -9, then hit tab, and I can search for a specific process, like Chrome or Alacritty. I can even pipe any file to it, and it will allow me to do the fuzzy search. For instance, I can search for the install command in my readme file. And there are a lot of other use cases. Be sure to check the project page and the documentation. As always, I'll leave the link in the description. Next, the main IDE I use is Intellij Idea from Jetbrain. There is a paid version and a community version. It has many options for multiple programming languages and has a lot of features. I use this at work and I have my license since I work mainly with Java and Scala. But if you are looking for a free IDE, a good option is Visual Studio Code. So let's download that and install it. It's a dev package for Ubuntu. I just need to write code and dot, and it will open my project folder. Now let's go to the extensions and let's talk about visual or color themes. I'm currently using the North theme. I like the colors, they are calm and relaxing with a nice clean look. If you go to the theme site, you can find more information on the colors, and they are available in multiple editors and terminal emulators. Let's look at ports and use the one for Alacritty. There isn't any official release yet, but the repository is here. Let's open it. And it is just a colored scheme, so it will be easy to install. It says I just need to add to the Alacritty file the content of the nord.yaml file. So let's copy the content and open the Alacritty file. I just need to paste the content at the end, and as soon as I save, I can see the result. Awesome! The color scheme is also available for Beam and Tmux, so be sure to configure them too. Now I'm also using a different font for my code, the Jetbrain's mono font. It looks nice and has some interesting ligatures. So let's download the fonts and install the TTF files. In Ubuntu I just need to open them and hit install. So I'll do this for a couple of them. Then you just need to search in Google how to configure your editor. For Visual Studio Code, go to File, Settings, search for fonts, and add the font to the beginning. The font is Jetbrains space mono, and if you open the settings file, you can enable the ligatures too. That's of course optional. And that is all. You can now use it in Visual Studio Code. Now for the Rust environment, of course I need to install Rust. Go to the site, install, and copy the command. Paste it in the terminal and proceed with the installation for stable Rust. After it is done, add the configuration command to the end of the CSH file, save and reload the configuration. Let's run cargo version, and I have 142. If I want, I can customize the configuration of the status bar by editing the file .p10k.csh. I can customize the elements of the prompt. If I search for Rust, I can see there are other options for different programming languages. Let's uncomment Rust version, save the file and reload CSH. And now I can see the Rust version with the Rust icon at the right. That will only be visible when I am in a directory with a cargo file. And I can customize it further. For instance, let's replace the Rust icon with a crab emoji. Let's copy the emoji and see how it looks in the terminal. To change the size of the font in Alacritty, you can use Ctrl equal or Ctrl hyphen. You can see it has eyes. Let's open the p10k config file and search for Rust version. There is a section to customize that part of the prompt. The last option will allow me to have a custom icon, so I can uncomment that and put my emoji there. I can also modify the background and foreground colors of that section. So let's try with a different number, save it, and I can barely see it. So let's try again, open the file, try with 0 and save. That looks better, but if you go to the beginning of the file, there is a command to show the color map. Let's copy that and run it. And let's change the colors again to 37, save and reload CSH, and that looks much better. Anyway, let's keep going. Another essential tool is Docker and Docker Compose. Awesome tools for development. So let's search for Docker install in Google. Pick Docker for Linux, and I just need to follow these steps. Update the package manager repositories. I already did that. Then install these dependencies. Done. Next, add the GPG key. With this command, make sure to remove the $sign. We can verify it worked with the next command. Good. Then we need to add the repository for the package manager. Let's copy that. This is for the stable version. Finally, apt get update and install Docker. Now Docker should be installed, but only available for the root user. To be able to use it without sudo, you will need to add your user to the Docker group using this command. Then you need to restore your machine or reload the user groups for this to take effect. So let's search how to do that. And the easiest way seems to be su-user. And my user is now part of the Docker group. Run docker ps and no containers are running yet, but the command worked. Now let's install a Docker Compose. Search for that on Google, and it is just a curl command that I can copy. After that is done, I can go to my repository and try to start a PostgreSDB container that is specified in my Docker Compose file in this repository. That command failed because I still need to give the Docker Compose script execution permissions. So let's do that. Now run the command again. It will download the Postgres image and run my container. With Docker Compose ps, I can see that the container is running. Docker ps tells me the same, and now I can continue to set up my environment depending on the project. This is my development environment. I will also leave in the description links to other interesting tools that I didn't include in this video, but are worth checking out. And that will be all for this video. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. It will encourage me to keep doing more and better content. Thanks for watching.